Welcome back to your 2020 Construction Cloud training. Let's go into purchase orders. Going to my 2020 menu, going to my project center. Here's my list of projects. I'll choose a project. I'll go to the purchase orders smart button. If you do not see this smart button in the list, either you don't have permission or the status of your job is not at least awarded. I'll click on the button. I have two purchase orders already begun. One is approved and another is fully executed. You'll see the differences between those soon. I'm going to create a new one. Right, we'll give it a description. What am I purchasing? Framing lumber. There's my project information. Who am I buying this from? I can search for my suppliers. Woodsy Lumber Supply is my vendor here. If that vendor gives you a number or a code related to this order, you can enter that there. You can enter payment terms set up in your system that will translate over to the invoice. Puts a date and time stamp for the order date. You can certainly change that. You have an option between pickup and delivery. If you're going to pick it up, click here to choose a user in your system. If you choose delivery, it defaults to the job site address. There's my project, here's its address, but you can certainly enter any other information in there as well. Let me point out here at the top, it says request for quote. Well, I'm starting a purchase order. I may not have the valid pricing yet. So it starts off as a request for quote, but it is a purchase order document ultimately. To start adding products to the list, simply click Add an Item. Now, select the product. This is looking at my system's list of products. I can just start typing the name, FRAM for framing. There's some framing information. I have a search more option. Let me choose that. Right now, I'm seeing this grouped by division. I have a favorite set up so that whenever I come in to search my products, I'm grouping it by division. I'll open wood, plastics, and composites, and I'll choose wood framing material. Gives me the description for that product, but I can simply make it whatever I wish. Maybe just simple lumber. The schedule date is a mandatory field. The system will pre-fill this for you at the time you click that line, but again, you can change the date and time on there as necessary. Analytic account. For this project, what analytic account or cost code are we going to be wanting these costs to hit later on? I'll choose framing, hardware, and foundation. I also have a search more option here if that's going to be helpful. Category, maybe it's labor, materials, subcontract, etc. Not everybody's using categories and yours may be different. I'll skip over that for now. That's not mandatory here. Quantity, how many am I buying? Well, I could say I'm buying a certain number of 2x4s, so maybe I'm buying 8 and units. I'm going to say each here, and they are $2.22 a piece. Nothing's been invoiced yet. Do I want to apply taxes at the purchase order level? If I do, I click that and I see my list of available taxes. I only have one set up so far. I choose that, puts that in there, but you could put multiples in if you had multiples. And as you hit tab, it moves to the next line, but it also puts your tax information down here in the totals. May be helpful when invoicing. I'll do another line. And I know I'm keeping the descriptions very simple here, but maybe this is more of the same. Well, I can type wood framing material, or I can just type the number, and I'll change that description for by, just to keep things simple. And that's going to go to the same analytic account perhaps. It doesn't have to. And I'm buying 18 of those, and they are $4.85 a piece. Say there's no tax on that. Maybe you have to have freight in here. You can put a freight line in there as well. When I'm finished with a line, I tab through to the next line. When I'm completed with the lines, I can save this. You shouldn't need to spend time going into the other tabs. Other than, just like any other attachment in 2020, you just drag it right on top of the saved record. Now that it is saved, what options do we have? We see email request for quote, approve and validate, and print. If I do email a request for a quote, the vendor, if I have an established email address for them, will be getting an email. I'll click that. When I do that, an email gets generated and the status of this RFQ becomes sent here. If I need to make another change, I can edit it and change my amounts. Maybe the vendor has changed their pricing and I need to update things. Or maybe I need to just change anything else or even add new lines. Save that when finished. Once you've settled on this information, we can click Approve and Validate. You see the obvious change that this now says Purchase Order and the status has been moved to Approved. That's an internal approval, meaning all parties within your company agree to the details on this purchase order. Click Vendor Signed, which obviously means that the vendor agrees with the terms as well. The status moves to fully executed and I can now bill for this purchase order. there is a smart button now for invoices. We go into the details of invoicing in another video. Last thing I want to mention here, there's a button here that says Set to Fulfilled. Clicking that will change the status of this purchase order to fulfilled rather than fully executed. We recommend doing that only after all materials have been received and invoices have been entered and payments have been made. Before I go, please let me remind you that after logging into your 2020 system, 1. If in a multi-company environment, always be sure you are working within the correct company's data. 2. Not all users have access to the same features and options. And 3. Your typical workflow may vary from what has been presented. Let us know what else you'd like to see in these tutorials, and as always, enjoy the day.